We've got new reports and rumors about the upcoming Spider-Man MCU movie and how it might work with the upcoming Sony movies. Here we go, webheads. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Do me a big favor and smash that like button. And yes, I think we're gonna go back to smash and like. But yeah, you've probably been hearing a lot about Spider-Man. You've probably been seeing some articles pop up, see some things on Reddit, Twitter, and whatnot. And yes, there is some Spider-Man news out there on the interwebs. See what I did there? So I'm gonna break that down and then go to speculation town about what some of this might actually mean. And mostly this really concerns how Sony and Marvel might be able to work together with the Spider-Man character. Okay, so the first bit of real and actual new information is that this film, the next Spider-Man film over at Marvel Studios, which will be the direct sequel to Spider-Man Far From Home, will start shooting this summer. And strangely, this actually comes from an article on Deadline, but this article was actually all about how the Uncharted movie over at Sony lost its director, but they kind of also slipped in that the new Spider-Man movie will begin filming this summer. As we get a little closer to that, expect some sort of leakage, some plot leaks, a lot of fake stuff, some real stuff, and then of course some set photos and different things like that. So there'll be plenty of cool stuff to talk about when it comes to Spider-Man later this year. Now, another big reason that Spider-Man has been all over the internet lately actually has to do with Venom 2. There's a big time rumor out there that Tom Holland was indeed going to be shooting a scene for Venom 2. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know even where this rumor is coming from. I briefly looked for it online, but what really matters to the credibility of this story is that this dude Jonathan from a podcast called Discussing Film actually reached out to Sony and he got a reply. He literally got a no comment reply from Sony about this issue. And that's how I found out about it, because Jeremy Conrad over at MCU Cosmic actually reported on this, basically saying this is not a nothing burger. The very fact that Sony would make a comment about this, which, you know, is technically no comment, is actually really telling. Normally they would never answer something like this at all. And what's really weird about it is we know for sure that Tom Holland shot a cameo for Venom 1. We know that. This actually came out during all of the dirty laundry from Sony and Marvel being spilled out into the public earlier this year when they were having that custody battle over the Spider-Man character. And by the way, that original scoop actually came from the late and great John Schnepp. God rest his sweaty soul. But anyway, we know that that happened, but then Marvel made them take that out. They were like, nah, bro, that ain't happening. And adding a little more fuel to this, there is, of course, the comments made by Kevin Feige the day that it was announced that Spider-Man was actually coming back to the MCU. He came out and made that crazy statement about how Spider-Man is the only character with a superpower to swing between cinematic universes. And most of those nerds were like, wow, that's interesting. So are they gonna play nice? Is Feige changing his ways? But that is all that's officially out there, right? A lot of the internet, you know, doing what it does, reading way too far into this, and of course being hopeful. Although I did find it interesting that a lot of MCU fans are actually upset about this. Like, they don't actually want Spider-Man in Venom 2 for some reason. Maybe this is just coming from a general distrust of Sony, or maybe fans think that if this is successful over in the Sony movie that we're just going to lose Tom Holland permanently, like that he's just going to go over to Sony at that point. I don't really know, but either way, that's the news. But we're not done yet, folks. Please take my hand. Let's go to speculation town. So what do I make of this? What do I think of this? Well, frankly, I think that Feige is doing more than just making his two Spider-Man movies and just producing or helping out with whatever else is happening. Like, a lot of the language that was used around the time when people were talking about that deal and how it got put back together, it made me believe that Feige is actually going to come in there and try to figure out a way to actually have this character shared. Because, of course, he didn't allow the cameo in the first Venom movie, and he didn't feel like there was a good way at the time to make that connection work. But given the fact that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now opening up the multiverse and doing a lot of crazy stuff, even in-house, there is a possibility that they could figure out a way within the story for this Tom Holland Peter Parker character to go from this Marvel Cinematic Universe, universe, a lot of universes, over to the Sony Marvel Universe, or whatever they're calling that. Ultimately, I think that would be the goal. Like, it helps Sony out, it all connects, right? And people will love following that character into this universe. I don't think Sony wants like a new version of Peter Parker, even if it is played by Tom Holland. They want the Tom Holland from the two movies that they have made that have altogether pretty much grossed $2 billion. They won that one, which, by the way, is the one they would have if they had just walked away from the agreement with Marvel. That's that character, right? And they could technically do whatever they want. But thank goodness the two companies came back to the table and now they've figured that out. But again, I've always thought that the way out of this for them, the best way, is to figure out a way within the story of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for Peter to leave and go into a completely different universe via the multiverse. And what that would basically mean is that this would have to be established in this next Marvel movie, or perhaps the one after that. But here's the problem with that. Venom 2 actually comes out before the next Spider-Man movie. And I don't think Feige would want to necessarily spoil anything. And therefore, whatever they are shooting, if it's true for Venom 2, is likely very vague, probably a post-credit scene. And honestly, the more I talk about this, the more I'm probably realizing why Marvel fans don't even want him to be in that Sony movie, because it just muddles everything up. But I'm telling you, there's a way they could figure it out. And I don't think Feige would do this unless he figured out a way out of it. I mean, at the time, they were ready to just walk away with the massive cliffhanger from that character in this movie, and then who knows how disjointed it would be. I truly believe Feige wouldn't come back to the table unless he had a way to make it a little less disjointed. That's the best option for them. Oh, and one last real crazy thing. I think Feige will do this first movie on this 2-movie contract and then literally sit on the second movie. I don't think you're going to see Spider-Man in the MCU after this next one for a while. I could, of course, be wrong about that, but I think they'll bring him back for a big ensemble film, some Avengers movie, likely even Secret Wars itself, which, again, total reasonable thing there, because you're bringing in all these different things from the multiverse. Oh, it would be so cool. I'd love to see Venom in Secret Wars too. But that's my crazy thoughts on it. I want to know what you think. Let me know what you think about the official news. Do you believe the rumors that we are indeed getting Tom Holland in Venom 2? What do you think about that? And what do you think about some of the speculation we talked about? Let me know. Now let's shout out Austin Adams. Indeed, Madripoor is on the back of the Madragon in Marvel Comics. It's totally a thing. So shout out to you, Austin. And now let's ask another nerd card question. I want to know, what is the real name of Kraven the Hunter in the Spider-Man comics? Answer that question in the comment section below. By the way, I really hope Kraven is in this next MCU Spider-Man movie. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.